G'day everyone, in this video I'm going to be showing you what I consider to be the 4 best types of trout lures. Yet they're going mad! Finally! Now these 4 best types of trout lures, they're the 4 best according to me. Of course we're all going to have slightly different opinions because different things work for different people. I'm going to count down from 4 to 1 my top 4 favourite types of trout lures, starting with blades. Blades are an awesome type of trout lure. They're probably one of the most underrated trout lures on the market. This is a TT switchblade. This is a Demiki Volt 35. Basically what a blade is, it's a vibe. A vibe is any type of lure that vibrates through the water, and that's usually either blades or lipless crankbaits, things such as the Jackal TN series, the TN60 and TN70. They are a wider, fatter lure and they're hollow and they've got rattles in them, but they still vibrate side to side. Well, the blade is basically just a straight blade, a straight bit of metal with a bit of lead on the end for weight, and also to catch a bit of water to help it vibe. So the lipless crankbaits are a vibe that rattle. A blade is a vibe that casts further than any other lure, and they vibrate very hard. Now, there's a number of different types of blades, different manufacturers of blades. I've got 3 here. I think this one might be a Berkeley Big Eye blade. This is definitely a Demiki Volt 42 blade. And this one here is a TT Lures switchblade. They're all similar but slightly different. The TT blade here has 4 holes in it, whereas these two only have 3. Now the holes are the toe points, and I can see that the last time I used this, I had my little clip rigged through the back hole. Let me explain how this system works. For shallow running, you want to use the toe point at the back, because that will allow the blade to sit further upright, creating more drag and more vibrations, but it swims shallower. And then if you use the front hole, it has it sitting more of an angle, like a 45-degree angle, which naturally pulls it a little bit to go down and helps it sink easier, and it doesn't vibrate as hard, but it still vibrates, and that's better for deep water. So back hole for maximum vibration and shallow water, front hole for minimum vibration and deepest water. And the holes in the middle, well, they're just to give you a little bit of extra control over how you want to use it. How I like to use blades is I cast them out, say I'm on a lake like Lake William Hovell, cast them out as far as I can, let it sink a little bit, then I'll heave, then I'll wind in the slack. Then I'll heave just gently, then wind in the slack. That way the blade's sort of going brrrr, then sinking, and brrrr, and then sinking. 9 times out of 10 the trout will hit it as it sinks. In a small stream, you might want a smaller blade, such as this little weeny Demiki Volt 35 here. They're smaller, they don't sink as fast, they're better in shallow water, and you may not have the luxury of allowing it to sink unless you're running your lure through a deep pool. So if you're running through a set of rapids or something, you might just have to crank it in and brrrr all the way through, and that's okay because trout will still hit them. The beauty of blades is that they cast a long way. This one here is 1/4 of an ounce, which I think is 7 grams. That will cast out of sight. They don't catch any wind because they're so skinny. A 7-gram lipless crankbait or even a 7-gram jig head won't cast as far as a 7-gram blade. Blades are the ultimate casting lure, making them ideal for when you're targeting trout from the bank of a lake, and they do work very well for redfin as well. I've caught a lot of trout on blades in Lake William Hovell. I've caught trout on blades in Lake Dartmouth, and I've caught trout on blades in a number of rivers around northeast Victoria. Blades, they're one of the most underrated trout lures on the market. I've never tried trolling with one. I suppose you probably could, but you'd probably want to just pull your rod forward and back just to put a bit of action in it. I reckon it would work, but as far as casting lures for trout in lakes go, blades have got you covered. Now continuing our countdown, number 3 is spinners. A spinner is just that. It's a lure that spins. It's got a little revolving blade that spins around in circles. In some parts of the world, particularly in the United States, they often call them an inline spinner, because unlike a spinner bait which has a 90-degree bend in it, an inline spinner is just a straight bit of wire, hooks at the end, and a blade that goes round. And there are many different types of spinners. I've got 2 in my hands here. I have the Blue Fox Super Vibrax number 2, that's quite a large one, and I have the French Touch Tackle Morpho Spinner, a relatively new player to the game. Now spinners are great because they are the easiest of the lot to work. You cast them out, you reel them in. You don't have to worry about lifting your rod tip up and down and putting a bit of action in the lure. You don't have to worry about letting it sink and lifting it back up. You just cast it out and reel it in, and they come in such a wide variety of different brands and types and colours and shapes. My favourite is probably the Blue Fox Super Vibrax. That's the number 2. That's also a number 2 in a bright colour. These are very old and dirty lures, these ones, so they don't look very clean. They're a lot brighter than that normally. Here we've got a red and pink one here. This is a number 1 size. It's a little bit smaller. And I've got a number 0 size, a little gold one here. These 4, I've had all these spinners for a number of years and they have all worked very, very well. The Blue Fox Super Vibrax is my favourite as far as brands go. This new player to the game, French Touch Tackle, and their Morpho spinner, I've been very, very impressed with these in the time that I've been using them, which is about 6 months. I've always been a big fan of the Warden's Rooster Tail, another dynamite trout spinner. And in fact, I made a video like this about 6 or 7 years ago, and I called them my number 1. But I think I prefer the Super Vibrax over the Rooster Tail. It's just a little bit heavier, it casts a little bit further, and it's a bit stronger. The Warden's Rooster Tail tends to bend, but the Super Vibrax, the Warden's Rooster Tail has a little feather on the hooks, which I reckon helps with the hookup rate, and the Super Vibrax doesn't have that. They're neck and neck, and the French Touch Tackle's up there with them. Most people my age began trout fishing in the 1980s and 1990s, started off using Celtas. For years, everybody used Celtas. Celtas were the go-to trout spinner, and they still do work very well. But unfortunately for the old Celta, these days modern technology has caught up with them, and these sort of spinners, they spin a bit better and they cast a lot further. You can still get Celtas and they still work well, but these are my favourite. Now number 2, my second favourite type of trout fishing lure is the minnow, the humble minnow. Once again, they come in a wide variety of brands, different colours, shapes and sizes, and we've all got our favourites. But minnows are dynamite. Minnows are great because they're quite natural looking, and trout love to feed on small fish, even small trout. As long as it's small and it's wiggling through the water, a trout will hit it. So minnows are dynamite, and then late in the season when the trout get aggressive and they start pairing up ready to spawn, and they start chasing other trout away from their nest, they become aggressive and they'll hit larger minnows, longer minnows. Minnows are a very good bait, very good lure for trout, and they're loved by many people. And just like the spinner, they come in a wide variety of different shapes and sizes. Now I've only just realised now that I've grabbed 3 of the same brand when I came out here today, which was a bit silly. These are all Pontoon 21s. I'm not sponsored by Pontoon 21 lures, I just reckon they make amazing lures, but I am supported by Tackle Club, and Pontoon 21 are a frequent product in the Tackle Club boxes each month. This is a Pontoon 21 Crackjack. I've had this for probably 20 years, long before Tackle Club. I love these. It's got a ball bearing inside it to help it rattle, but when you cast it, as soon as you put a bit of inertia into it, the ball bearing goes to the back and it casts like a bullet, and then it just has a nice tight little shimmer all the way back in, and it's an absolute fish magnet. This ball bearing technique at the time was not heard of. It was very rare, but these days it's quite common in a lot of lures. This lure's quite old now, it looks brown. It used to be crystal clear, you could see through it with red lines on it, and the trout just loved it. And they still do love it. I still catch trout on it to this day. This is another one, this is another Pontoon 21, this is a Crackjack 38. That's a tiny weeny little one. It works just as well as the 48. And this one is the Pontoon 21 Tantalizer. It's a longer jointed minnow, but it works very well too. And later in the season, in the autumn, when the trout are starting to pair up and get ready to spawn, they become quite aggressive when they're getting ready to do their thing, and they're more likely to hit a longer lure. And I really like this jointed lure at that time of the year. But in saying that, a lure 3 times that long would work at that time of the year. Minnows are very good. Rapala make a lot of different types of minnows. Wild bait I've got quite a few wild bait lures. They're a brilliant lure. They're natural, very natural in colour, and the fish take them. There's so many different brands. I think Berkeley have got a few. There's a Daiwa have got a, there's just heaps. Most lure makers make some kind of trout minnow, and there's a reason for that. It's because they're very, very good. And if you're going trout fishing this year in the spring or summer or whenever, you want to make sure you've got a couple of minnows in your tackle box. The only real downside, there's a couple of downsides to minnows. They are a little bit more tangle prone, although so are blades. but they're a lot more expensive to buy. They're usually dearer than most other lures. You can usually buy 2 spinners, sometimes 3 spinners for the price of a minnow, so they're a little bit on the dear side. But being that they're more natural, they're more likely to entice a larger trout out to hit the lure than what a spinner is. You'll certainly catch big trout on a spinner, but I think you'll do it more frequently with a minnow. Now, number 1, my favourite type of trout lure, and those of you that have been watching my channel for a long time will know what I'm about to say, that's the soft plastic. In the United States they call them a soft bait, but the soft plastic lure is my absolute favourite. This is a Strike Tiger nymph, and I've pulled the claws off. Strike Tiger are a very big sponsor of this channel, and without their amazing support I might not have been able to make as many videos as I've made over the years. So huge thanks to Strike Tiger. But the Strike Tiger nymph is my favourite, my go-to number 1 soft plastic for trout, and my favourite colour is this one here, the black and gold, and I've only got 2 left in this packet. I'll get one out and see if I can show you a bit better. Now brand, I'm not sure what the focus is doing here. Brand wise, this is a Strike Tiger nymph, but generically, looking at the big picture, this is a soft plastic creature bait, they call them. It's like a little creature. This has got claws and legs, and it's designed to mimic any kind of little invertebrate or macro-invertebrate or whatever might be under the water that a trout could eat. In its form like that, it looks a bit like a cricket or a mud-eye or even a little yabby. Normally when I rig on one of these, I'll leave the claws on for a while and see how it goes. If I'm not catching any fish or I'm getting strikes that aren't hooking up, I'll take the claws off and make it a bit more slimline like this. In that form, coming through the water, it looks like I said, a little yabby or a mud-eye or something like that. In a slimline form, it looks more like a minnow or even a little tadpole or something coming through. There's a beautiful trout stream right here behind me, and if I was to go in there now and lift up any rock, there'd be all kinds of little bugs and all kinds of little things clinging to the bottom. Many of the bugs and insects and stuff that we see moving around in the air, particularly on a warm spring or summer's night, most of these insects begin their life at the bottom of the creek, under these rocks, and then they emerge. They come out from under the rock, they climb up a bit of grass, walk out onto the rock, or they just float to the surface and fly away. They grow wings and fly away. And this is designed to mimic one of them, any in particular. It's a generic lure, not designed to mimic just one thing, and I love them. The Strike Tiger nymph comes in a different range of different colours, but it's the black and gold that I like best for trout. And also another one that they have in their lineup is the micro minnow in black caviar colour. It's a tiny, weeny little soft plastic minnow. I'll get one out and show you. And once again, it's just designed to look like a little tadpole or a little minnow or a leech or just something really small in the water, and that is deadly on trout. Now, soft plastics in general are an awesome lure for trout. One of the best things about them is because they're soft, when a fish hits them, they feel soft. If they don't hook up, the fish doesn't always twig that it's a trap. It doesn't twig that it's a lure. It doesn't twig that something's not right. And what that means is quite often the fish will come back again and again and again and keep hitting the lure. You might get a strike that doesn't hook up. Then you'll cast out and get another strike that doesn't hook up. Sometimes it'll go on for 8 or 9 casts and eventually you'll hook up. You can fish them vertically. You can fish them horizontally. You can fish them vertically below a log on the bottom. You can cast them out and fish them horizontally. You can fish them any way you want to fish them. They're the most versatile lure of the lot. And they are also, as I stated, they're the type of lure that the fish will just continue to come back and hit your lure time and time again. And that's why I like them. They're very, very natural. They're a great lure for catching bigger fish, and they're cost effective. A packet of most brands, all brands will vary and all shops will vary, but usually you're looking at around about $10 for a packet of plastics and $10 for a packet of jig heads. And when you're looking at plastics this size, only an inch or so, most of them have 8 or 10 lures in them. This one has 15 actually. That one has 15, and the Strike Tiger nymph has 10, and the jig heads normally have 5 or 6 in them. So for $20, you're getting at least 5 or 6 lures that you can use. So they're a much more cost-effective lure. Soft plastics for the win. They're great for trout. They're great for redfin, and they catch a variety of other species as well. Right, now just a quick recap. In my opinion, the 4th best lure for trout is blades, the 3rd best is spinners, the 2nd best is minnows, and the best of the lot are the tiny little creature bait soft plastics. Folks, I hope you found this video informative. There will be links to as much of this stuff as I can find in the video description below, and some of them are affiliate links, which means that I'll get a kickback if you buy some. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you found this informative and enjoyable.